As long as everything goes right with the vehicles. Now, the way these vehicles are designed is to skim across the top of the mud, and they're going to be doing it in around 3 seconds.
Well, we miss having Army Armstrong with us, but he has the weekend off, but we'll carry on despite his absence. We'll take this break and come back to Northern Florida for mud bog racing. It is late afternoon in Bayou George J.C.'s Community Park outside Panama City. This event sanctioned by the National Mud Racing Organization, and by the time we have our championship round, we will have darkness here in Northern Florida. And the first up, Legal Speed with Glenn Siebold.
Of course, Glenn Siebold's one of the top drivers in the country right now. He's had this truck for the last few years, and it's been running real good. He seems to be getting better and better each year, so let's see how well he's going to do here today.
Powered by a big block Chevrolet 568 cubic inches, and once again, we have some daylight right now, but we'll end this competition in darkness. 200 feet of mud, 3.168, 3.168. We've talked with a number of these competitors, and they seem to indicate with this mud, we could have a real shot at a new national record, which now stands at 2.922.
And Gary, coming up next is Mike Thomas. Now, you're going to be seeing a lot of him tonight and his dad. Between the two of them, they have 4 vehicles here tonight. Mike will be driving this vehicle along with Murphy's Law, and then Enos will be driving Heartbeat 2 and the brand new Mad Max.
And a good run as he bucks his way through at 2.961. Oh, ever so close to that national record for Heartbeat of America 1.
And it does put him in first place out of the first 2 runs so far today. And he has a nice straight run here. As you can tell, he's carrying the front tires just a little bit above the ground, which is just right.
Second place as we take a look now at his dad. This is Enos Thomas in Heartbeat of America 2. And he's in trouble early, out of bounds. Rich, what happened?
Well, what happened down here, Gary, is right at the starting line with all that horsepower, he got out of shape. Just like if you were on a road, an icy road, and tried to take off from a stoplight and just started spinning.
Well, we can see the frustration from the cockpit. The helmet comes off. He slaps that down. He is very unhappy. Here's the replay.
Well, watch what happens right there. He looked like he got a little bit of traction, and all of a sudden he lost it. He didn't hook up them rear tires to any good, solid dirt. And so, of course, he got out of shape, and it was too late to do anything about it. You got too much speed and horsepower. You can't change your mind. He's out of bounds already, and that's why he was upset.
Well, he's upset, but he'll have a shot at another vehicle, so perhaps he can take out his anger, his frustration on his next pass down through the 200 feet of mud. And there you can see a slight grin as he wipes the mud off his face, but it's a long walk back to the pit area. Now, coming up next, the starting line, Craig Underwood in Wild Streak.
Hey, Gary, this is a 1927 Model T Roadster. And it's like you're going to see a lot of different kind of vehicles here today, from Blazers to the Model Ts to homemade vehicles.
Well, that track pulled him off to the right, slides to a stop, spins around with a 3.056.
These guys are getting a little bit of traction out the starting line and then going through that mud, and then the finish line is nothing but sand.
Well, here is Instant T, another Model T Roadster with Chad Miller behind the steering wheel.
A lot of horsepower in these vehicles, and as you can tell, you can see here a lot of good work on the frame and stuff. It's all connected to the roll cage. These vehicles and these drivers are well protected.
Chad Miller out of Vandalia, Ohio, which is just outside Dayton. He gets in trouble right at the end. Look out, he's going on over. A double barrel roll, but you can see the roll cage doing its job. 3.294. He went through the timing light before he turned it sideways and rolled it over.
And there's where I was talking about at the end. He got a little sideways, and after the finish line, right there is where there's sand. Now, this sand is dry, and you're going to get a lot of traction there. When them tires hooked up sideways, that's what caused this flip.
He tucked that right rear, barrel rolled twice, and he walks away. He is okay. Surveys the damage. Right now, of course, the driver more concerned with damage to the car than damage to himself. It is early in the competition, but we have seen a lot of action as Mike Thomas continues to lead with the Heartbeat of America at 2.961 over Craig Underwood in Wild Streak and Glenn Siebold in Legal Speed. We have seen a number of drivers get out of shape. Here is Wild Streak. He simply slides to a stop. But coming up next, Instant T came through the trap with a good run, turns it sideways, the right rear hooks, and he does a double barrel roll. Damage to the race car, but the driver was uninjured. We're coming back with more excitement from Northern Florida, so stay with us. Back in Bayou George J.C. Community Park, and here once again is Mike Thomas, and this is Murphy's Law.
Now, this is his second vehicle he's been driving so far here today, and of course we'll see his dad come back with his new Mad Max, and we'll see if this father-son duo can outdo each other.
Big block Chevrolet power plant. An excellent ride by Murphy's Law. Look at the time, 2.732. Let's check it. Yes, that is a new national record.
He did an excellent job. You heard it about halfway down the track. His motor just picked up even faster. He hit the nitrous and just zoomed through the finish line.
A national record of 2.732 as we take a look at Rattler 2, and this is Bucky Dillard out of Panama City, Florida, hometown hero. And a good run for Bucky. His time, 2.944.
They're all getting underneath the 3-second mark, Gary, but he didn't quite take the lead on this one. It was a good straight run, but he just didn't hook up real good at the starting line.
Well, here is Dad. This is Enos Thomas. We talked about his frustration earlier. He's now strapped in the cockpit of Mad Max.
And let's see if he can do a little bit better. This is an experimental vehicle with him. Now, he's got a lot of knowledge with mud racing, and let's see if his knowledge is going to pay off.
A good solid ride at 2.797, 2.797, and that would put him in second place behind his son.
He had an excellent run. We can see the rooster tail shooting up from them bigger diggers is what they call it, and them big paddle tires from the rear end. Now, his extra weight up front probably helped him keep that nose down.
Mike and Enos Thomas have both broken the old national record. Mike is #1, Enos #2 as we take a look at the stud. This is Mike Pausina.
1923 Ford Model T. He's running a 351 cubic inch Ford engine. Now look how low he sits in that cockpit. Now he's well protected, but I think he's going to have a little hard time seeing.
See the rooster tail as he completes the run, and not a very fast time at 3.981.
I just don't think he had the right gear. He just didn't get the speed up. It was slow off the line, and it just never really accelerated through the finish.
Well, he will not be too pleased with that as we take a look at this radical truck. This is high anxiety Keith Addison. And the time for Keith is 3.114.
We're going to get a good look right there. You've seen the exhaust come out and the rooster tail shoot up. He's getting a lot of traction off the starting line. A nice straight run.
And up next is Bad Habit, Byron Tinky. He has had a long tow, a driver that has come from Tiffin, Iowa, to compete here tonight in Northern Florida. And that run for Byron was 3.256.
Not quite fast enough. It was a good run. He's getting a lot of traction, and it was good and straight. The ruts didn't affect him at all. It seemed like it would have been a lot faster.
Here's an unusual combination of Fiat powered by a big block Chevrolet Chuck Brown in Mudaholic. And he's in trouble right there. He hooks a tire, goes over 3 times. Chuck Brown turned in a time of 3.142, got in trouble in the shutdown area.
Now, he had problems from the very beginning. He got crooked, and you see him trying to steer to the right-hand side, and then as soon as he hit that shutdown area where that sand was, his front tires grabbed, and all of a sudden that shot up to the right-hand side, his rear left tire dug in, and that's what caused his flip.
Well, Chuck Brown is all right, but he'll take the walk to the ambulance for the mandatory checkup. And let's check in now with Scott Cluxton, who had to watch this from his cockpit.
Okay, Scott, you're sitting here in anticipation, waiting your turn. Now, you're seeing all these guys getting squirrely and a few of them rolling over. What's going through your mind right now?
A good, nice day of fishing on the bay, catch a couple trout,
You just kind of put it out of your mind a little bit and just worry about what you're doing.
Oh yeah, this doesn't even really faze me. If I let it though, it would drive you crazy, son.
Okay. There's a good laid-back attitude as we take a look at the checkup now in the ambulance. But again, Chuck is okay. But not so for the race car as the Fiat comes back on the hook. A lot of damage there. Well, here is the new breed. This is George Gregory from Tyler, Texas. And he skims right across the top of the mud, as he should. A good time of 2.856.
And he did a great job at the finish line. Watch, he's nice and straight. Now watching these other guys, he's on his brakes right away.
As we take another look at George Gregory, watch as he climbs on the brakes, the rooster tail of sand right here. And Rich has made his way over to the ambulance to talk to Chuck Brown.
Okay, Chuck, just got out of the ambulance. How do they say you're doing?
I'm doing fine. I ain't got no scrapes all on my head right here.
Yeah, just a little shaken up.
Just a little shaking up.
Do you remember what happened?
It happened so darn fast, man. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
It just went over, and I don't even know what way it was going or whatever. It was so dark. I mean, everything, I was like, you know, my eyes were closed.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're okay.
There's a good racer. Close your eyes and go for the cellar. It's time now for the Port Brothers Express. Darren Ovington out of the state of Kentucky. Not a very good ride at 3.404.
The starting line looks real slick right now. He didn't hook up and get the traction he needed, so he lost a lot of time.
Coming up next, here is Shane Back, the attitude adjuster out of Jeffersonville, Kentucky. Time just over 3 seconds, 3.025, but he carries the front end a long way. And, of course, that nullifies the use of four-wheel drive, almost gets in trouble right there at the finish. As we take a look again, Rich has caught up with George Gregory, the driver of the new breed.
Okay, George, you just got your car all cleaned up here. A perfect run. Picture, but you didn't even really get it that dirty, did you?
No, when you run good, it stays on top.
Okay, how's the suspension working on it?
Super. My crew chief, Rick Bales, he used to adjust the car. We just set it up, and he called the shots, and it was straight and smooth. It really didn't require much.
Yeah, we watched him a little bit earlier while he was watching you run, and he seemed real happy with the way it went down the track. Were you pretty happy with it, too?
Oh, yeah, it was tremendous. It couldn't have been any better. He done a super job.
Well, Rich is getting a real workout tonight on this warm and humid night here outside Panama City, Florida. We talked earlier with Scott Cluxton. He talked about fishing. He was so laid back as he was strapped in the cockpit of Rattler 1, the big block Chevy, 588 cubic inches. A lot of hometown fans cheering for this lad from Panama City, Florida. Let's see what he can do with the Corvette fiberglass body. And a good ride at 3.023.
Not one of the fastest runs yet tonight, but he was keeping his mind on what he was doing. He was in control. He had a nice straight run. You've seen he got a lot of traction right here at the starting line. Look at them rooster tails shoot up from them bigger diggers. And he just takes it nice and straight, carries the front end a little bit right there, starts to slide a little, but keeps it under control.
We have seen all kinds of action this evening, including some hair-raising crashes. But Mike Thomas, with that new national record, leads his dad, Mike in Murphy's Law, Enos Thomas in Mad Max. George Gregory is third in the new breed. Fourth now is Bucky Dillard in Rattler 2. Mike Thomas in the Heartbeat of America 1 is fifth. And sixth, Scott Cluxton in Rattler 1. We have more mud racing coming your way from Bayou, George, Florida, so stay with us. Well, there is the 200 feet of mud, and this looks very tame right now, but it's been a wild evening here. Earlier tonight, we saw this problem with Wild Streak. He slides to a stop, but keeps it right side up. But shortly thereafter, it was Instant T. He came to a stop, too, but not until he did a double barrel roll. But by far, the most serious altercation of tonight's competition, a Fiat powered by a Chevrolet coming up next. This is Mudaholic. Chuck Brown out of control almost from the beginning, gets to the shutoff area and does a triple barrel roll. The car was heavily damaged, but Chuck walked away uninjured. And earlier we saw a national record set by Mike Thomas in Murphy's Law, but right now let's go to the pit area and check in with Rich Hooser.
Well, Buster, as you're getting strapped in, what are you feeling right now watching all these other guys get all cockeyed and rolling out here?
Well, we had 3-4 crashes now,
Yeah.
so I'm going to lean on it. I got to go as hard as I can go. May the good Lord be with me. But,
You think you can win this tonight?
I'm going to try.
Garland Walls coming up next in the Gambler out of Port Orange, Florida. Big Chevy, 468 cubic inches. And the Blazer crosses the finish line at 3.117.
Not a very fast time, but maybe he was thinking more about them other wrecks earlier, but he kept it nice and straight and had a nice smooth run. You see, he's got a lot of traction coming off the starting line. Got over to the left-hand side just a little bit, but he's able to keep it straight.
And here's a look at Enos Thomas standing next to Mud Muscle, driven by the gentleman we just talked to, Buster Smith. So let's see now if Buster has the muscle to overhaul Mike Thomas, who now leads as the fans look on. An enthusiastic group here in Panama City. The Mud Muscle, a Chevy 550 cubic inches from Marietta, Georgia. And he carried the front end, a big wheel stand, 3.036.
He got the traction he needed to get a good run, but the way these vehicles are made with a 4-link suspension, they can adjust that and bring that front end down on there, which they did not have it right.
Coming up next is Ron Pence. Ron driving Tater out of the state of Missouri, a Chevy 572 cubic inches. Look at that wheel stand. Did he keep it in bounds?
No, he was completely out of bounds. He wiped out some of the out-of-bounds markers, as you'll be able to see right here. Now, he had the same problem that Buster had with Mud Muscle. His suspension on the 4-link suspension was not adjusted right.
Papa's Pride coming up next. Jimmy Campbell, let's see if he can keep it between the fences. Out of the state of Alabama, the Ford 468 cubic inches.
Gary, we're not going to have a time on Papa's Pride here. He jumped the gun a little bit and red lighted at the starting line. And he must have known this right off the bat, because if you watch his run here in the replay, he's not getting up any speed at all.
Next at the starting line is Showdown with Alan Inlow, but the only showdown we've had this evening has been between father and son, the Thomases, Mike and Enos. And right now they are running 1 and 2. For Alan Inlow to win it, it will take a record run. And he doesn't get it. No, at 3.029. We'll take a look again. He begins to pull off to the left, has some trouble as he gets to the shutdown area, not fast enough. So the victory again will go to Mike Thomas. His dad, Enos, will finish second. Another look at the run of Alan Inlow. Let's go down to victory lane, where Rich Hooser is standing by with first and second.
Enos Thomas come in second place tonight, but you didn't take first here, but we'll get to that in just a minute. How did your run do?
It did real good for the first pass on a new car. I think it was real good. Tomorrow we'll tune it up and go for it.
Okay, and then, of course, first place, his son, Mike. Here's our champion tonight, Mike Thomas, the son of Enos. Now, how long have you been doing this?
For about 4 or 5 years.
About 4 or 5 years, so you keeping up to the old man's name here and going to take over for him?
This will be a hard person to keep up with, but I'll try.
Yeah, that's true. It seems your car seems to be running real good now. You think he's just got some bugs to work out in his new vehicle?
I'm sure it's faster.
Okay.
Just got to get it worked out. We'll get it done tomorrow.
Okay, well, congratulations both of you. A little competition between the family members here, but a great show.
Well, Mike Thomas takes the victory with a new national record run at 2.732. His dad, Enos, in the Mad Max, finishes second. George Gregory, the new breed, finishes third. And we had a fast track this evening. All 3 of those eclipsed the old national record of 2.922. Finishing fourth tonight in Rattler 2, Bucky Dillard at 2.944. Then it was Mike Thomas, the Heartbeat of America, 1, and Scott Cluxton in Rattler 1. For Rich Hooser, I'm Gary Lee. See you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. And here's news about an exciting new release from Diamond P Sports.